What's up guys, it's Gothic, and today we are playing Asagao Academy. As you know, my computer crashed, and I lost everything, so I had to replay the entire game. Until this point, mostly it was just me clicking a lot, but I rewatched my videos and chose the same answers for the Satch route, so everything should be good. Yeah, so let's keep going. So, let's continue. I reached out to touch it. It was soft and there were silken petticoats underneath the shorts. My guess was the ensemble would hit Waleed somewhere in the mid-thigh region and the pants would fluff up like a bonnet. The shirt was sleeveless with gold-painted buttons and zippers trailing off. What is this for?
I don't know.
I have no idea. I've never heard of anything like. She shut the locker door. We've seen something we weren't meant to see. We can't mention this to a soul. Of course not. I don't really get what the biggest deal is, though. He brought it to his locker, so he must not be shy about it. Mai shook her head. You'd be surprised what you could sneak into a locker without anyone seeing. The important thing is that he didn't have the boots, so he's perfectly innocent. Let's just go eat lunch. She stalked off, completely unconcerned as to whether I followed her. I ran to catch up. If Waleed didn't want people to know, there was no reason we should mention it. It would be pretty hard to explain anyways. When we made it to the cafeteria, we were among the last to get our food. My eyes strayed to Waleed at the hidden block table. He was chatting happily, completely unconcerned with the odd suit he had in his locker. I felt the blood rise to my cheeks. Sorry, I'm like fiddling with the screen. And then we locked eyes. I turned away and focused on getting my food. We had the chance to sit down. I glanced. There we go. I glanced over at the hidden block table and noticed Caddy, Ian, and Waleed watching me. I grabbed Mai and dragged her out of the cafeteria. I was terrible at keeping secrets. It was better just to avoid the situation entirely. That night, I waited until long after Mai fell asleep to get up again. I changed back into my uniform in the darkness and snuck out of our room. Waleed hadn't taken the boots, but the look he, Ian, and Caddy gave me at lunch stayed in my mind. It was almost hostile. I didn't understand why. They had no reason to know we were snooping through their things. It seemed to me that they were on the defensive, so it couldn't hurt to check. I ran across the grounds, this time avoiding the streetlights. I wasn't sure what gave me away with Mr. Satomo, but it couldn't hurt to be more careful. I made it to Poppy Hall and wandered to where Waleed's locker was. Their club room should be around here somewhere. If I were a member of Hidden Block, what would I put inside the club room to indicate where we met? It was hard. They all had such different, distinct personalities, but the loudest personalities would probably have their way. Just then, I walked past a classroom and saw something pasted on the windows that caught my eye. I tried the door. It was open. I stepped into the room and was immediately hit with the pungent smell of old chicken salad, macaroni and cheese, and chips. Good lord! I couldn't breathe. I struggled to one of the windows and slid it open, gasping in the fresh air. What the hell? Does no one take out the trash in here? I glanced around the room and immediately locked eyes with a face on the wall. Waleed? A giant version of Waleed's face was watching me from the wall next to the door. I shivered. I do not like it in here. Turning away, I caught a note on the blackboard. I'm not taking out the trash anymore. Please learn to do it yourselves. Jeff. Me neither. Love, Caddy. Just below it were a bunch of scribbles that looked like an argument about who could and could not take care of themselves, with different colors of chalk scribbling out each other's sentences. That explained that. I shook my head and began searching the desks in the room. Most were empty, but... What the hell is a gun doing in here? Slaughter was written in sparkling silver Sharpie on the side. I'm going to die in here. I just am. Leaving the desk behind, I crept my way through the cabinets to the back of the room. Old candy wrappers, several obscure alternative music CDs, a set of extremely expensive-looking microphones and headphones, an old notebook? I took it out and flipped through the first few pages. Inside were cartoons drawn in thick ink. Nokimon, a pink ball of fluff, anthropomorphized rocks. These aren't half bad. but nowhere did I see reference to the boots. Sighing, I reached to put the book back in the cabinet, but not before scribbling a small image of my face on one of the pages. They wouldn't suspect me. Why would I be out drawing a Why would I out myself by drawing my own face? All the sneaking around was getting to me. I was becoming a rebel, a bad seed. But there was nothing else I found that could possibly lead me to the boots. I closed the window and left the room, sighing with relief when I shut the door. The window might have been open, but that hadn't stopped the smell. How in the world did those boys live like that? No, knowing them, winning the fight was more important than being clean. It was a wonder they were all friends and how much they picked on each other. But then that was probably the point. So, their lockers must have been right around here too. I stood on my tiptoes, peeking at the slats on the fronts of the lockers. I couldn't open them without Mai's help, but I could at least see what they had in them. But as I peered through them, I came up empty. Playmaster games, a hamster wheel, something called an Ian box, a Rulian shield. Their lockers were weird, but there was no sign of the boots. As I headed back to the door, my heart sank. It wasn't the Hidden Block Club. Really, that should make me happy. It should be good that they were true friends to the normal boots guys. But they were my only lead, really. And now I was back to the very beginning, no better off than I was before. I climbed to my room with heavy steps. It was already 1 a.m, and I had no idea how so much time had passed. I changed in my pajamas and stumbled into bed. Great. How worthless was I? I stared at the book in front of me. I was supposed to be reading, following along with oh my god, why is my tongue so tied today? Following along with what Miss Shizuka was teaching. Instead, I yawned. The words blurred together in front of me, talking about how a badger made of honey could once befriended the 13th cat of the zodiac. I had an even harder time getting up this morning. I didn't think just a few days of less sleep would affect me so much, but they definitely did. I yawned again. Surely it wouldn't be I couldn't see Strange images swirled in front of me. The boots. The dent in the locker. Satch. Oh, Satch. I was just looking at him at the library. This was back when I told him I was going to help him. He was in such a panic. But now that I was looking at it again, I remembered the librarian much more clearly. She was glaring at him so venomously I could feel the heat from where I stood. There was no way she'd do anything to wrong him, right? Right? Something shoved into my back and I was snapped awake. Feng Shui! Say Feng Shui! Feng Shui? Miss Shizuka, who was staring at me from the front of the class, put her hands on her hips.
Yes.
Yes, the answer is Feng Shui. And what is its purpose?
If you place yellow objects at the front of the house, you'll get more money, and right at the back of the room, people will give you stuff.
Shizuka squinted at me. Well, not incorrect. We're talking about the traditional effects of Feng Shui now, Miss Mizuno, not the old country superstitions. Please pay better attention.
Yes, ma'am.
I sat back down and shot a grateful look at Mai. She nodded to me, face full of concern. I smiled at her and turned back around, hoping that it would ease her mind. But as I looked at my book, I suddenly realized I had no idea what the lesson was even about. Hana!
What happened?
I blinked at her. My eyes felt gooey and slow, like they were glued shut. Class is over. It's time for lunch.
Already, but did I miss all morning?
Mai nodded. I sat up and looked around the classroom. Only a few stragglers remained, jotting down final notes. I'm sure you've been really stressed about everything that's happened, but it's not good to fall asleep in class.
I know. It's not like I'm trying to fall asleep.
But still, this was not good. Asagao Academy was a prestigious school. People only got in if they had high academics, lots of money, or were extremely talented in some way. I was none of those things. The scholarship student. I was the way that the school and other students felt better about themselves. If I dragged down the school's image, they'd kick me out without a second thought. I wasn't even sure how I made it in the first place. It's not your fault if you're having trouble sleeping. Come on, let's go to lunch and not worry about it, yeah? I nodded and stood, feeling somewhat like I was not part of this world. The walls blurred as we headed out of the classroom. Maybe if I touched one, I'd fall right through. When we opened the door, we almost walked right into John and PPG. Whoa! Oh, God. Hey, we were just coming to get you guys. Wait, you're talking to us again? I glanced from the overly cheery John to PPG, who was avoiding eye contact with me. It had been 3 weeks since they last spoke to us. Maybe I was asleep. As it was, my brain was moving too slow for me to say anything about it. So the thing is, we want to apologize.
What?
You do? We realized we're being total jerks. We feel terrible about it, or at least I do. Hey, it was not us mistake. People make mistakes all the time. I stared at John's broad face, trying to click together what was happening. You ignored us for 3 weeks and you're saying it was an honest mistake? PPG elbowed John on the side and I shot him a look.
No.
Ignore him. He sticks his foot in his mouth so much you'd think it was a lollipop. But we came to invite you to lunch with us again. You'll still have us. We want to make it up to you somehow, and we miss you. Both of you.
I can't believe this.
So you're not suspicious anymore? Well, PPG elbowed him in the side again. Okay, I just thought it'd be funny. No, we're not. We can't speak for the others, but you have our support. My head swam. The frustration of the past 3 weeks, the betrayal, the late nights, the tears, the whispers, the judgment, all built up inside of me. Did they want us to just forgive them and let it go? Mai looked at me, waiting for my decision. It seems like she didn't know what to make of it either. I mean, we didn't do anything wrong, and they're gonna forgive us, so sure. Really?
Yeah.
I blinked furiously, trying to clear my eyes of their tired haze. I guess it never hurts to ask, does it? I guess not. Well, you heard the lady. Mai didn't seem overly comfortable with what was happening, but the decision was made, and even she wasn't going to leave me now. I smiled and grabbed her hand, thankful. She grinned at me in return. As we walked to the cafeteria, PPG fell into step beside me. Hey, are you sure you're okay? I looked up at him in surprise. He was searching my face intently.
What? Yeah, I'm fine.
But we were such jerks to you guys. We don't deserve to be forgiven that easily. I laughed lightly, but came out sounding more like a wheeze.
It's no big deal. Life is too short to let things like this affect us for too long, right?
I guess. Hana's been losing sleep over it. That's why she looks so dead right now.
Excuse me.
I'm just speaking with the truth. I'm so sorry. PPG looked like a sick, sad puppy. That just means we have to work even harder to make it up to you, right, PPG? He stood on his tiptoes and put an arm around PPG's neck, pulling his head down so it was level with John's. He put his lips to PPG's ear and whispered something into it for quite some time. When PPG was finally released, he seemed more calm. It was your decision to make.
Huh? Yeah.
We finally made it to the cafeteria. After getting our food, we headed to the normal boots table, walking in a straight line like foot soldiers. Satch was sitting at the table too. It seemed he rejoined them since we weren't. Why is this sentence giving me trouble? It seemed he rejoined them since we weren't there to eat with this time. That's a rough one. At least it didn't cause a rift. As we approached, Shane popped his head up. No. We didn't even say anything. I'm not eating with those people. You're overruled. That's not even a thing. Well, let's have a vote. Slowly, the clatter in the cafeteria turned to silence. Who thinks Hana and Mai should be allowed to rejoin the normal boots table? Raise your hand. Choking on my own saliva. That's attractive. Satch's hand shot into the air first.
Yeah.
I do. And it's about time, too. Gerard's, Nick's, and Paul's quickly followed.
Right?
That's 6 of 9. Sorry, Shane. You've been outvoted. Shane glared at John, but said nothing. John sat at the table, jaw set and eyes blazing as if daring someone to argue with him. PPG and Mai Su followed, but I stood frozen where I was. How was I supposed to just sit down and act like everything was normal? Mai grabbed my arm and pulled me to the seat next to her. I avoided Jared, Shane's, and Josh's eyes. At least now I know who definitely didn't trust me. I gritted my teeth. It wasn't enough that I had to endure 3 weeks of hell for them. It wasn't even enough that I had immediately forgiven them for the hell. They still didn't trust me. The club ate in silence, and I struggled to contain the spurts of anger and shame that were trading stages in my mind. When the bell finally rang to go back to class, I had never been more happy. After the excitement of the day, it didn't take long for Mai to fall asleep. I lay and listened to her steady breathing, resisting the urge to fall asleep myself. Finally, her gentle snoring began, and I put on some clothes and headed back outside. At this point, I was getting used to creeping around at night. It was horrifying the first time, and I've had a few close calls, but I didn't think there was going to be someone jumping from the corners and trying to kill me. The world wasn't as hostile as I thought it was. At least Asagao wasn't. I dashed across the campus and into Poppy Hall. Only once I was inside did I realize I didn't have a plan. There was nothing in the hidden block lockers, and the clubroom was empty when I last looked. I crept up to the 4th floor, hoping to begin an in-depth search from room to room. Someone had to have it nearby. They were too heavy to move during the day, and it would take at least 2 normal people to move them. With this in mind, I worked my way from classroom to classroom, closet to closet to desk, searching in lockers and nooks and crannies. Try after try, I found nothing of interest, at least to the boots. There was an oddly large amount of stuffed animals in these kids' desks. As I searched the last desk on the 4th floor, I sighed. Still nothing. Slipping down to the 3rd floor, I braced myself to begin again, till I heard a noise from a closet at the end of the hall. It was coming from an old, unused closet just opposite of the stairwell. Yellow light ringed the edges of the door. Someone was in there. And they weren't there on my way up. There was no way it was just a janitor either. The janitor threw up the lights on the entire floor when he was cleaning. No, this was someone else. I edged across the hall, taking care not to let my steps echo on the wooden floor as they were prone to do when no one else was in the hallway. Finally, I made it to the edge of the door. Taking a deep breath, I grasped the cold handle, and then all at once turned it and pushed the door open. I know what Jared was doing. Jared stood before me, a collection of books at his feet and on the shelf above him. In his arms was an open version of the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons? I glanced at the book. Sorry. I glanced at the books on the floor. 3rd edition, 3.5, 4th edition, Battletech, and a myriad of what looked like new locations and expansions lay in order of edition and then release date. And they sparkled in the light, mint-colored despite how old they were. Jared and I locked eyes. We didn't say anything. We didn't move a muscle. Time was suspended. I couldn't take it. Indecent! That's what you shout? I'm sorry. I screamed and ran, sprinting for the staircase door. Hana, wait! Jared was following. I pushed through the stair door and followed down through the 1st floor, bursting through, but Jared was catching fast. Damn you and your good jeans! The front door was too far away. I'd never make it. Instead, I dove into a 1st-year classroom, hoping he hadn't seen me, but... Hana. No, stay away from me! I ran to the back of the room. There was nowhere for me to go. He slowly approached, eyes gleaming. You saw nothing. I wish. I'm sorry. This is like, he didn't murder anyone. He plays frickin' D&D. This is so stupid. I love it. He was finally in front of me. I said, you saw nothing. Jared slammed his hand against the wall and oh, this is like a fantasy. Oh my god. I fucking love Jared. And, whew, I'm getting all blushy. Yes, please, Jared, do this to me. Anyway. Jared slammed his hands on the wall on either side of me. I was trapped, pinned to the wall. Oh. Oh. Damn it, Hana, now is not the time for that. Hana, please. Suddenly, I was thankful for the dark because I was definitely the one being indecent right then. Oh, this is fantastic. Don't tell anyone what you just saw, please. I wasn't sure which was more visceral to me, my fear or Jared's present. Finally, I caved just to get him out of my face. Okay, I won't tell anyone. I promise. Hana. He swept me up in a hug. Suddenly, I was pinned, but I was really pinned between the... He's got me tongue-tied. I was really pinned between the wall and against Jared. I flushed deep red, not sure where to put my arms. Thank you so much. I was going to die here. The blood would leave my body, go to my face, and I wouldn't be able to breathe anymore. Goodbye, world. It was nice knowing you. What was that? Jared released me, instead tugging me to the floor. We crouched there for a few moments, waiting. The sound of footsteps rang across the hall, along what sounded like a muffled curse, then silence. We should leave. We really shouldn't be here. Jared looked at me, as if just realizing I was also sneaking around the academy in the dead of night. I won't tell if you don't ask. Good enough for me. Quietly, still crouched, we crept out of the first floor classroom and into the main hallway. Sweet Jesus. Look at that. Ah. Roll back. Now we know what made that noise. A large crack sat in the middle of the floor, all splintered and dented wood. Somebody dropped something really heavy.
You don't think... the boots?
We looked at each other. And this is where we're going to end this one today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see, please leave a like, comment down below, and I will see you in the next episode.